Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to cut back on her messy hobby? My girlfriend collects rocks and bones. Not crystals or anything. She doesn't think they have any magic powers. They're just normal rocks. She's not into astrology or any witch stuff. She sometimes tells me about the rocks and what type of rock they are, and it's usually chert, which seems to just be a normal rock. She's really outdoorsy and she travels a lot for work, and when she gets back from a project, she has a pocket full of new rocks. The bones are usually deer bones that she finds out in the woods, and she doesn't have as many of them. The skulls are cool, but also kind of creepy, and most of them don't even have antlers or anything impressive like that. Her favorite bones are shoulder blades and those spinal bones. If we go on a hike, she'll sometimes stop randomly because she's found a cool rock that looks like a normal rock that you could find anywhere, and put it in her backpack or pocket. Sometimes she asks me to carry them, and I have to put dirty rocks in my pockets. She keeps them all over the house, on tables, but mostly in our bedroom, on the dresser, and on her desk. She used to keep the skulls and bones on the dresser, but put most of them in the closet when I said I was creeped out when I would wake up and see a bunch of dead animal skulls staring at me. But she takes some of them out when she's working from home. The problem with the rocks is that there are so many of them, and it's starting to make the apartment seem cluttered and kind of messy. If anyone came into our room, they would just see a bunch of random rocks all over the place. The other day when I was cleaning, I put all of them in a nice box so that they were all in one place, and she got really mad when she got home. She says she likes looking at them, and seeing some remind her of the different trips she's taken, even though they all look the same. And she said that they're beautiful and make her happy. She also likes to pick some of them up and carry them around with her during the day. I calmly explained that we were running out of space for her rocks, and maybe she could take photos of pretty views she has to remind her of her trip. And she got really mad and said that it wasn't the same, and I couldn't tell her what to do with her apartment, even though we both live here, so it's my apartment too. I tried to get my friend to commiserate, but he said I was being an ass for trying to stop my girlfriend from doing something that makes her happy, and that I should be thankful that her hobby doesn't cost any money. Am I the asshole for wanting a clean apartment? I'm not even telling her to get rid of all of her random rocks and bones. I just want to put them away to make the place look nice. Am I the asshole?
My friend didn't get me a birthday present, but she sent me a list of gift ideas for her when it was her birthday. How do I bring it up? I, 29 female, and my friend, 30 female, have been friends for about 7 years. We met at work and have both moved jobs since, but we always stayed in touch and hung out outside of work. We see each other about once a month, and we usually plan and do something fun. We text and talk regularly, just two typical friends really. Every year we've known each other, we've given each other gifts for birthdays and Christmas. I was a little shocked when she sent me a text with a full list of things she wanted a few weeks before her birthday, detailing where from and how much they were. In the same text, she even said if it was in my budget that she would love an afternoon tea delivered to her house on her birthday. It just seemed a bit much and a bit cheeky to send me a full list of things she wanted. I didn't even ask. She just sent it to me without even asking. Usually near her birthday, I might ask her if there's anything that she would like or if there's anything that she needs, but this year, before I even had the chance to ask, she had sent me this giant list. For her birthday, I did get her something off her list and a few extra nice things, which she loved and appreciated. My birthday had just passed in September, and we both went to Disneyland in Paris for a short break. The trip actually fell on my birthday, so it was my birthday when we were there. The trip was her idea, and it was a coincidence that it fell on my birthday. It was never planned that way though, and it was made clear that it wasn't a birthday trip. When we were there, she spent loads on merchandise, and she took out way more money than me to spend, just to point that out. When we were there, we did some shopping and we looked around a lot of gift shops and bought some merchandise. The day before my birthday, while we were there, she told me that because money was short for her, that she was going to get me a present while we were in Disneyland. This didn't bother me, and I actually thought it would be quite nice for her to buy me something as a present while we were there. The problem was that the following day when it was my birthday, we went around Disneyland and looked in a lot of shops, and she didn't mention anything about a birthday present. I also didn't feel comfortable mentioning it or bringing it up. Time went on, and at the end of the day when we were back at the hotel, I realized she hadn't got me a birthday present, and she hadn't mentioned anything about it. Time went on, and at the end of the day when we were back at the hotel, I realized she hadn't gotten me a birthday present, and she hadn't mentioned anything about it. The following day we flew back home, and again she mentioned absolutely nothing about my birthday or a present. My partner picked us both up from the airport, and he dropped her back off at home. It's been about 2 weeks since then, and again she has mentioned absolutely nothing about my birthday or present. I tried to bring it up subtly yesterday by texting her and telling her that although we were in Disneyland on my birthday, we hadn't actually done anything specific for my birthday, so maybe we should do something fun on a weekend, hoping that this would trigger and remind her. She kind of brushed off this request by saying that she was busy for the next few weekends, and like I said earlier, I didn't feel comfortable mentioning the gift situation abruptly. I feel quite hurt by this, considering that every year we have both made efforts to get each other something, even if it was small, and even if money was tight. It's also the fact that she specifically said she would get me something while we were in Disneyland, and she didn't, and never mentioned anything about it since, which makes me feel like she was probably hoping that I would forget. It also bothers me that she had the audacity to send me a giant list of things that she wanted for her birthday in June, complete with prices and shops. I don't really know what to do about this or how to mention it without being so forward. How should I approach this, or should I just leave it? Is it even worth me mentioning anything since it's been about 2 weeks since my birthday?
After a lifetime of abuse and neglect, I finally snapped and beat my cousin to a pulp. This happened yesterday. I'm 23 male, and my parents adopted my cousin 19 female when she was 2 and I was 6. Her parents gave her up immediately and had no contact with my parents. My parents truly see my cousin as their daughter. I refuse to call her that, and to me, she's nothing more than my mother's sister's child, and someone who made things very tough for me growing up. It was always that my parents favored my cousin over me, but only because she was a girl, and she was the younger sibling. She doesn't have any medical issues that require extra care or anything, and on some level, they just don't consider me my own person with my own autonomy like they consider her. My parents made it clear to her that she was special and rules didn't apply to her. She was allowed to use physical violence against me whenever things didn't go her way. When I was 14, I asked my mother to buy me a box of pastries from the grocery store that I really liked, and I even offered to pay for it with my pocket money to convince her. A few days later, I ate the last pastry, which my cousin apparently decided was hers. She got so mad that I ate her pastry that she threw a large plastic doll's house at me, which left a nasty cut on my hand. My father then physically grabbed me and yelled at me for trying to attack her. Once we went on holiday to New York when I was 10. We were walking in the street and passed by a homeless person, and for some reason he decided to whack me with his cane. Not hard, I didn't cry or anything, but hard enough that it was definitely intentional. My father didn't say a word. A few years later, in a similar situation, a homeless guy spat on me and my father didn't say anything. But once, when my cousin was 10, we were walking in the street and she wasn't looking where she was going, looking behind while we were walking forward, and slammed into some guy who was standing still. My father started shouting at him for bumping into my cousin and nearly attacked the guy who was just standing still minding his own business. There are so many more incidents like this that happen over the years, but they've blended together at this point. But it was also apparent in our day-to-day interactions that my parents favored her over me. The way they would just constantly fawn over her and compliment her, the way they tell her that she's special and deserves special treatment, but also the way that they would get mad at me whenever someone did something bad or unfair to me. In their eyes, I didn't have the right to feel like somebody wronged me. I confronted my parents about all of this treatment many times, and after years of laughing it off, they finally admitted to me that she deserved special treatment because she was a girl younger than me. But even beyond our interactions, she's just in general a nasty, entitled person. Every word out of her mouth is either putting someone else down or is a brag about herself or someone she knows. I've never heard her say anything positive or even neutral. She just finds a way to laugh at people and make them feel small. Even when she talks with others, she constantly makes jabs and then insults at them. She is the most vile person that I've ever met. I'm now 23 and she's 19. She's home from college for a summer break, and I took a week off of work to come visit my parents and film me in the area. A few hours ago, we were at home alone when she decided to make about how if only I was as pretty as she was, I wouldn't be so ugly and need plastic surgery or something. Well, this was the last straw. Years of anger and resentment at the way that she and my own parents treated me erupted. I walked up to her and just began punching her as hard as I could in the face. I also grabbed her wrist and broke several of her fingers on her hand. I saw red. I just wanted to hurt her for all the hurt that she caused me. I know that at the end, she was still alive and conscious because she was screaming loudly. I immediately grabbed some belongings from my room, packed up as quickly as I could, and got the F out of the house. Walked down the street a few blocks and called an Uber to a hotel where I'm staying now. I'm trying to get my flights rescheduled so I can fly back today before a police warrant goes out or something. I know that what I did was very wrong and I could be in a lot of trouble for this. But on the other hand, it felt incredible to release 20 years of neglect and unfair treatment and abuse like that. Will the police put out a warrant for something like this? Will they catch me at the airport? I live out of state. Or extradite me to where my family lives? I understand that my relationship with my family is over and that my parents will try to get me extradited and prosecuted in the state where they live. But I don't know what's going to happen.
This is the story time of one of the most manipulative men I've ever dated. The thing is, like, he was not just manipulating me, he was manipulating my friends too. I would say he was manipulating my friends even more than he was manipulating my ass. It's been a while since the whole thing went down, but a couple days ago, my friend and I were at the beach and we were like, wait a fucking minute. It was crazy. Let me take you back to when this all started. Just a year ago, before I even lived in LA, I was here visiting. I was at brunch with one of my friends and this man came over and he was like, I think you're really pretty. I think you're gorgeous. I think you're da-da-da-da-da. Big. Like, what he said to me in my head, in reality, he was just like, I think you're really pretty, here's my number, like, text me. In my head, I'm like, cool, whatever, like, another whore on the roster. God, I was mentally ill back then. Swear to God, it's not like that anymore. But I was like, whatever, I'll just like have another one of these little whores on the roster. Like, my intention was just to like make him my Instagram. I really speak so well. Like, that's such a crazy thing to say. Whatever, one of my Instagram whores where he kind of just like lived in my Instagram DM. I was still in New York, so like I was never pursuing anybody heavily, except one man. And we'll get into him. I'd say 6 months go by, and one of my friends is I'm still in New York City at this point. One of my friends is visiting. I can't remember how we got on the topic of this man, but we did. And she was like, wait, my sister's been on a date with this guy. She was like, yeah, they're friends now. Like the crazy bitch I am, I text him, mind you, like we don't speak, I text him. I'm like, let's call her Jessica. I'm like, tell me who the fuck Jessica is. Mind you, my intent is to never really see this man. I'm like, oh, I'm like never gonna see this man. I'm never gonna see this man. Like, how do you know Jessica? And I was like, well, like explain, like I'm just fucking around. Like, and obviously like, I don't think he could tell that, but like I was. It was like, is this gonna affect me getting to know you? And I was like, of course, of course. You went on a date with Jessica, of course. I was like, just like fucking around. 6 months later, I moved to LA, and this guy's obviously in my DMs like, let me take you to dinner, let me take you to dinner. I'm like, I don't even have a couch yet. Like, just stop, you know, you're overwhelmed when you move. But remember when I said earlier in this that I was talking to a guy who lived in LA? So let's call him Whore. I was talking to Whore. I like actually liked Whore. Like I wasn't interested in the other man. Like I was really interested in Whore. Whore and I have like known each other for such a long time, like so long. So when I moved to LA, I was like, come over. Whore came over. Okay, like we vibed. If you guys remember that, okay, and now I'm really exposing the actual fuck out of myself. If you guys remember that one story time where I talk about my best friend's boyfriend being like the guy that I always go to like talk about men. Talked about that one guy that like came in my hands in 15 seconds. That was Whore. Whore and I had a little moment and I'm like, okay, like you're my husband. Like, duh, you're my husband. Whore didn't text me for 3 days. So immediately I'm like, okay, he's dead to me. I hate him. If I'm being honest, that like low-key fucked me up for a second because like I liked Whore. I was like, I would genuinely see things through with Whore. Like I really liked him. When I decided to like, okay, I have to cut Whore off because like whatever, he's being an asshole. Like I was like, oh god, I was like low key a little bit. I was hurt. Like a bitch was hurt, and I've never admitted that, but like I was hurt. A couple days later, I'm telling my friend's sister, because now we hang out all the time. Jessica and I hang out, and I'm telling Jessica what happened with Whore, and I was like, but you know what? Like Weirdo, let's just call him Weirdo. Weirdo's been in my DMs. Weirdo like really wants to take me to dinner, and she was like, yeah, like he's like kind of cool. Like it's like whatever. It's like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me go on a date with Weirdo. Like he's been in my DMs. Like let me actually give like a good guy a chance for a second, because like I was low-key down bad about Whore, so I was like, let me just give like the good guy a chance. I was telling Jessica, I was like, but like let me think about it, because like he does kind of rub me the wrong way. Like I just feel like something's a little bit off. So I was down bad about Whore. So I'm like, yeah, let me go on a date with this guy. Okay, red flags off the bat. He tries to kiss me on this date, and I'm like, hell fucking no, absolutely fucking not. Like like if I'm thinking like that, okay, then like Libby, like you don't like the man. Like you don't like the man. He just kept telling me how much he liked me. He was like, we just have such an insane connection. Like I just like you so much. Like we have known each other for 2 hours. Like we have actually known each other for 2 hours, but like, you know me, like a bitch loves to be love bombed. Date ends and I'm like, it was all right. But I have this issue, and I've had this issue where I'm like, I have a nice guy in front of me. Like I love a toxic motherfucker. I love a motherfucker who's gonna make my brain go crazy. So when I meet a nice guy, I'm like, no, I should like really like this one. Like I should actually give this one a chance, instead of listening to my fucking intuition that was like, bitch, like you don't even want to kiss him, like you don't want to do any of this shit. I was like, no, he's a nice guy. You're never too sure. And like Jessica and I are new friends at this point, so my only person that I'm like talking to about any of this is Jessica. I'm like, okay, what kind of guy is he? Like I'm trying to get a feel, because I have trauma. I don't like to go forward with men or date men who are fucking crazy. Obviously not. It's hard for me to date to begin with. So when I have someone be like, oh no, this is a good guy, I'm like, okay, maybe let me like give it a chance. But I don't fucking know at this point. And then I didn't find out until literally like a couple weeks ago, is that Weirdo is telling Jessica, like, you better put in a good fucking word with me with Libby. Like we're friends. Like I don't want you to jeopardize our friendship. Like you're really the make or break situation in the me and Livy situation. So me and Weirdo, we progress, because you know me, I am trying to give a nice man a chance, even though I'm like, I don't want to suck. Like, I don't want to fuck you. I remember telling him like several times, I'm like, you're lucky Jessica is saying good things about you, because like I don't date like this. Like I genuinely don't date like this. Like the only reason I really went on a date with you was because of Jessica, and like the reason I've been continuously seeing you is because of Jessica. This whole time, this man is telling Jessica, like, you and Livy aren't even that close. Like you and I are so much closer. Like if you're gonna paint me in a bad light to Livy, like what does that say about you? Like he is like going in. Things are progressing with Weirdo. One thing about him, he would bail on plans all the fucking time. Like he would just bail, or he'd be like, I'm having a horrible day, nobody speak to me for, like he was honestly a child. Like I'm not gonna fucking lie. Like, okay, I'm done. Like I literally have said a million times, like I will not put a man in my life who causes me drama. I've created a life of peace. I don't want a motherfucker who comes in here and creates drama. Like, I'm good, bitch. You and your weirdness of canceling 24/7 and having just like fucking temper tantrums at a grown ass age, is like not, it's causing me everything but peace. Every time I tried to end it, he would be like, this is fucking embarrassing. He'd be like, no, but like I like you so much, and like I just like you so much, and like I can make it up to you kind of thing. And he would also tell me like, you just like, kind of just like along the lines of like, you just haven't dated a good guy kind of thing. And I was like, okay, I don't care if you're a good man or whatever the fuck you are, like you're still annoying as shit. Like, but he would kind of throw that in my face a little bit, and I was like, he's not wrong, but had me overthinking. So I would find out information, like he would like try and cancel on me, but he would like tell Jessica first, and like he would be like, oh yeah, like I'm not doing that shit tonight, and then would tell me like an hour before the thing happened that like he wasn't doing it, and Jessica was like, oh well, he told me this, and then I would be like, okay, so Jessica fucking told me this, and he was like, I was like, why would you tell Jessica before you told me? And he was like, you're not even that close with her, like what the fuck are you taking her word over mine? Like you're not even that close with her. Well fuck, like her and I are a new friend. This motherfucker was telling us both that we weren't that close with each other, so he could come in and just like manipulate the entire, and he did. So a couple of weeks go by of like that whole thing, and I'm like, you know, I'm ending this, like I gotta get the fuck out. Obviously Jessica and I are still friends, and we were talking about it the other day. She was like, you know what, she was like, I feel like I was really manipulated during the you and weirdo situation. Like, wait, fucking same. And she was like, my loyalty always lied with you, but she was like, I felt an immense amount of pressure to like paint him in a good light to you, because he like kept throwing it in my face that like I don't know you that well. And I'm like, wait a fucking minute, Jessica, because he used to say the same thing to me, that like I did not know you that well, like to not take your word over his because like I didn't know you that well. He was like, no, he would do the same fucking thing to me. Like I feel like I was just like gaslit into thinking he was like a good person and thinking the things that he did was like normal. So no fucking same, he was like gaslighting the shit out of me, being like, no, this is normal, like these things just fucking happen. Now we're like putting the pieces together, and I'm like, you wanna go, this man can go fuck himself, because like the entire time he was trying to use our friendship against each other by being like, you're not that fucking close, and like Livy doesn't like nice guys, and like I'm such a nice guy, like I'm such an amazing guy, and like training himself to that, like that to Jessica, being like, you know I'm a good guy, like tell Livy I'm a good guy, like you know I'm a fucking good guy. Flash, if you have to do that, you're not a good guy. Like if you have to, I know he was not a good man. Jessica and I just sat there for like an hour just trading stories back and fucking forth, and I wish I could tell you, oh, you know what I actually kind of did? I did make a YouTube video about why I ended things with this weird fuck, a minute ago, because he can go fuck himself. That's a story where I'm like, okay, this motherfucker manipulated me, yeah, whatever, but my friend too, bitch. My friend too. Count your fucking days, weirdo.
I caught a boy cheating in Ibiza. And yes, this did happen to us. Story time. If your boyfriend is called Alex and he's on a lad's holiday in Ibiza right now, you're going to want to listen to this. So we've ended up meeting a group of girls out here, and one of them is a single girl. This morning, she's debriefing us. So we're coming back from Ushuaia, and Alex texts Amy and is like, do you want to come hang out in our hotel room? She's like, yeah, fuck it, why not? So she gets into his room, all seems absolutely fine. And there's like 3 other lads in there that I'm assuming were on his holiday as well. And shame on these boys as well. So she's like, oh, how's it been? Like, what have you been up to? Alex pipes up and he's like, oh, well, I picked a girl up at the buffet today. So you're an all-inclusive buffet. That is not a flex. So they're at the buffet and he is going over to them. They don't speak English. So the waiter is then translating what Alex is saying to the girls. He's like, oh, you're so beautiful. Like, let me get your Instagram. So he's like, oh, I want to take you out for dinner. Let me take you out on a date this evening. We'll go down to San Antonio. And this girl replies, I know you want to, and I'm game. Later that evening, she goes round to his room and they do end up doing the deed. So Alex's room is like below ours and we can see the hot tubs that are on their balconies. They actually end up doing it in the hot tub in broad daylight. So that's wild. If all of this isn't bad enough, I don't think it gets worse, but there's more layers. This little rat, he then goes on to boast about how he's got really good at cheating on his girlfriend whenever he goes on lads' holidays. Let's just sit with that statement for a second in silence. What the fuck? This is not his first offence. He then starts to talk about the girl who he got with in the hot tub's friends, calling them walruses. How fucking rude. For a little bit of context or added information, Alex is either a PT, a nutritionist,
He is a gym fanatic. He's into his nutrition or some shit like that. He starts saying to Amy, he's like, you really need to sort out your diet or in the next few years, you're going to be so unhappy. This is a direct quote. One day you're going to wake up and be absolutely fucked. No, babe, you're going to be fucked when your girlfriend sees this video. So if your boyfriend is in Ibiza at the minute, I'd maybe just check in with him. And then Alex, if you're watching this video, first of all, brush your teeth, because I know your breath absolutely stinks from all the shit that you've been talking. Then second of all, next time you bring a girl back to your room, just make sure that you remove all your skid marks from the toilet next time you want to have someone over. Because Amy said she could tell you'd not had a good time in there.
Am I the astronaut for telling my husband I'm leaving him when he was in the middle of a meltdown? My husband and I have been together for 8 years now. I have 2 sons from my previous marriage, 13 and 9, and I just gave birth to me and my husband's daughter 3 months ago. Before my birth and even weeks later, our home life was great. We often had friends telling us they wish they could find someone that made them as happy as him and I made each other. There was hardly ever any disagreements. Our communication was solid. He was fantastic with my boys, attending every parent-teacher conference, doctor's appointment, school event, etc., and took them out often to play baseball and basketball. This all changed after maybe 2 to 3 weeks after I gave birth. He turned angry, depressed, and impatient. Me and the kids started having to constantly walk on eggshells. He became lazy, such as stopping cleaning up after himself or helping around the house, yet still used sentences to my kids such as, you guys need to pick up after yourself. Me and your mother shouldn't have to follow you around and clean up your messes, when he never cleaned at all. I couldn't even get him to wash his own dinner plate without having a meltdown, basically. Every day he was just angry. If one thing went wrong, like him not being able to find something he set down somewhere, which became an everyday event, he was freaking out, saying things like, yep, awesome, so glad life wants to f me over, or why the f does this always happen to me? Can I just have a good day for once? But he always made it a problem for me and the kids. If he lost something, it didn't matter what time of day it was, he was 100% flipping out and expecting me to find it for him. I even told him my oldest son had to go to the ER because he had a bad rash, and he goes, have your mom take him, because he was using my vehicle. Or the other day, my mood has been soured due to his early morning freak out, and it put me on a rough route. I was exhausted, running on 3 hours of sleep, and he rushed me out of the house to go do his errands with him. I didn't even get out of the car, so it was pointless. And then gets pissed and screams, what the f is your problem? Can't we just have a good day for once? As if I'm the reason his life sucks. And this is not the man that I married. So last night around 11:30 p.m., he started freaking out again. He lost an important item he needed for work. He starts slamming things around our bedroom, repeatedly saying things like, great, f***ing awesome, love it, until I got up and started helping him look. As soon as I get out of bed, he stops looking and just walks behind me, holding his phone's flashlight. We can't find it. He doesn't go to work as a result. Another trait he's gotten since giving birth, he literally calls out over the wind blowing wrong. I lay back down. He practically body slams the bed beside me, starts huffing and puffing, heavy sighing, growling while practically clawing at his face, talking about how stupid this life is. I asked him to stop, and he says, you. So I tell him I'm done. I'm leaving. And that me and the kids' shit will be out of the home by today. He says, what the ever, and goes to sleep. I wake up at 5 a.m. and start packing. He comes out around 7 asking what I'm doing, and I tell him again that I'm done and I'm leaving. He says I'm leaving him in his time of need, and he would never do that to me. But he kind of did, because I was diagnosed with PPD not even 4 days after giving birth, and he completely overrode it and made it about him and how much his life sucks. Example, I know you're feeling some type of way, but I have shit going on too. No one asks me how the I am, or literally making passive-aggressive comments like, wish I could sleep all day. When I was 6 weeks postpartum, after I fell asleep on the couch, he does no nighttime duty. As I said, he says I'm leaving him in his time of need and that I should have urged him to get therapy instead of walking away. But his anger has made me hate him. I don't even want to be near him. Edited to add, I'm just going to reiterate what I've said to some commenters. I've tried talking to him about this. It's an immediate blame shift. The second I bring up anything that is bothering me, he says I'm attacking him. Says things like, as if you don't have issues that I have to deal with every day. Tells me it's all in my head, and has even called me a narcissist quite a few times in the past 2 months, claiming that I'm accusing him of things because things aren't going my way. Often says he does everything and that we, me and the kids, don't respect him. So I have tried talking to him. He's completely defensive and refuses to actually speak on issues, outside of one single time when he was drinking and admitted that he's being an asshole and that we don't deserve to be treated this way. Top comment, you said I should have urged him to get therapy. So he knows he needs therapy, but for some reason needs you to tell him to get therapy? No, NTA. An adult throwing baby tantrums is not something you need to put up with or something your children should be exposed to.
So this one time I went to the nail salon and I had the creepiest experience ever. The same place that I do like every month. And I walk in and my lady's like, oh, just, you know, take a seat next to this guy. Because this guy was getting his like nails like cut and like, I don't know, he's getting a manicure. I'm not one to judge. So this guy's sitting down and I sit next to him because my lady says to sit down next to him. I'm like, okay. So this guy and I start talking and he's like 40 maybe, like 35 or something. I don't know. We're just talking about like what he does for work and like where he went to school and like all this like random stuff. But again, it's like a normal conversation. Keep talking and then I kind of like stop responding really. Like I'm like kind of done with the conversation. So anyways, flash forward 10 minutes. His nails are done. Like he just got like a clear coat or whatever, but he's done, right? And the lady's like, okay, you guys can switch seats now. So I switch into the seat where the lady's gonna do my nails and he goes to wash his hands. Right, washes his hands and then he comes back and just sits right down next to me. Just pops right in the chair that I was just in. So I'm sitting down and the lady's doing my nails. I'm not talking to this guy. Like at this point, I'm like kind of weirded out. So like we're not talking. Like there's no conversation going on. He's just sitting next to me kind of on his phone. And I'm like, okay, this is really weird. Guys, 30 minutes go by. Maybe even like 45 minutes. He's still there. He's still sitting next to me on his phone. He starts taking business calls. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So as the lady like gets done with my nails, I'm like, I cannot leave this building before this man leaves the building because like he's gonna follow me to my car or something. Like he's waiting for me to be done. So I was like, all right, I need to like say something, do something. Taylor, step up. Oh, I turn to him and I go, do you like taking business calls at nail salons? Like, is that something you do for fun or like, why are you still here? And he like looked really like kind of surprised that I said something. He was like, I'm just waiting to pay. And the nail lady was like, oh no, like come, you can pay right now. So he goes, he pays, and he leaves. And I'm like, that was really like odd. Once he leaves, all these women in the nail salon turn and look at me and they're like, wait, we thought that was your dad. Like, you don't know him? And I'm like, no. And like, maybe he was just like a nice random guy, but like, I was so scared. I was like, I'm gonna be on the next episode of Dateline.
I am one of 5 siblings and our father has never been around. He always claims he's the one taking care of us. But the truth is, he has never been there for us. Our mom has been the one struggling to provide for us, working multiple jobs just to make ends meet. When I completed the secondary school and got admission to the university, my dad said he doesn't have any money to take me to school. My cousin brother came through and promised to sponsor my education, and he did. When I was about to go to school, my father was the first person to announce to some people in the community and the church that he was sending me to school. He boasted about how he was going to take care of all my expenses and how proud he was of me. Meanwhile, anytime we asked him for money, he would tell us he doesn't have. It is not like he doesn't have the money. He has it. He just doesn't want to help. My cousin brother was the one who sent me money for school fees, and he sent my father a huge sum of money to buy me a laptop and a phone and help with some other expenses. But my father didn't use the money for that. Instead, he kept the money for himself. And until now, we don't know what he used the money for. And he still continues to boast about how he's taking care of me to other people. Recently, my cousin brother asked me if I had bought the laptop and new phone with the money he sent to my dad. I didn't know what to say. I don't have the laptop or the new phone, and I'm still owing some amount of money in school. I feel so ashamed and guilty. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to tell my cousin brother the truth, but another part of me is scared of disrespecting my father. My cousin brother respects my father so much, and I don't want to ruin that respect. But at the same time, I feel like I'm being dishonest by not telling him what really happened to the money. I am really confused about what to do. If I tell my cousin brother the truth, I don't know if he will stop sending us the money. He has already sent money for the laptop, and I don't want him to feel like he's wasting his money. I'm scared that he will lose hope in helping us and stop supporting us all together. To make matters worse, my dad is a respected member of our church. He is one of the elders. He is always presenting himself as a devout and responsible person, but the truth is far from it. I feel like I'm living a lie, and I don't know how much longer I can keep up with this charade. Please, what can I do about this? This follower needs your advice, babes. Please drop some below, and don't forget to follow me for more story times.